Alright guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of our devlog series for our RPG game, which we should probably find a name for very soon so that we can stop calling it RPG game. Anyway, since you are last with me, we had a few issues that we had to sort out in the next episode. One being when we move and stop. Oh, I had fixed it. Alright, I'm gonna show you the fix. But when we move and stop now, we're no longer sliding. So the fix for that is pretty simple, and I'm going to show it to you just a bit. But if you're enjoying the series so far, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. The support that you guys have been showing so far has been great, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, let's converse down in the comment section, and yeah, all right, let's get into it. So for the fix of the player sliding, it's pretty simple. Let me just get to the player script. The player locomotion here is the one that we're dealing with. So in this case, we change this part. So you remember we had also the movement for the with the horizontal and the vertical. So just delete that part, and that should fix your issue. So just delete that part, and that will fix it. Just leave it like this. So those first two lines, remove them, and have these two lines here. So float horizontal input equals to move input.x, and float vertical input equals to move input.y. So what that will do is that it will just allow us to just use the player controls only, and then fix that that problem that we had. Another thing that you might have noticed as a change here is if we play and I move back, you can see that we're able to run back and strafe right, strafe left. Okay, so let me just show you how to set that up. Okay, give me a minute here. Let's go to the player, the actual player, FAA02. Then we're going to go to the humanoid. I'm going to click on that, on the animator controller that is. Okay. Provided it's willing to open. Alright. So, the last time I left you, we didn't have any of these guys down here. Alright. So what you're going to do is simple. Okay, here is what we're going to do. Let me just put this aside. So you're going to put another 3 animation fields by just hitting that plus button. Then you're going to put the run back, which if you got the animation pack from the previous episode, you should have. You're going to get the strafe left, which you don't have, and you're going to get the strafe right. Then for the strafe ones, we don't want them to be at 1 on any movement, any axis. We just want them to start strafing when they're at 0.25, because the strafe animations are quite slow. But if you go for a run left and run right animation, you can make it 1. So if you remember, if you go for a run left and run right animation in this area here, you can make it -1 and 1. Okay? But if you go with the strafe like me, then make it -0.25 and -0.25 for the right one. Then that's on the X, which is the horizontal. Then for the vertical, you make those two 0. Then for run back, you can see that 1 is run forward, so -1 is run back, and then we can play the run back animation. So we remember that when we hit W, it moves between, it goes to 1. When we hit S, it goes to -1. Okay? And when we're in between, if you're using an analog stick, that's 0.5, which is where our walk will show if we're using a controller, which we should probably do in one of these videos and connect the controller and see how it works with the controller. Then if you press A, it will strafe left. If you press D, it will strafe right. Okay? And so since we do not want to go all the way to 1, because even the horizontal and the vertical both go from -1 to 1, -1 to 1. So what we're telling it is that before you even get to -1, at 0.25, play this animation. And on the other side at 0.25, play the other animation. All right. Do not go all the way to -1 or 1. That's what we're practically telling it here. Okay, so once you've done that, you should have everything set up the way mine is, like that, where we can move back, we can straight right, straight left, run forward. Our camera works fine. Okay, then we can stop immediately without having that whole sliding at the end of the animation when we stop. So that's how we create that. Okay. All right. Now, for this particular episode, after those changes, we are going to create. Since our locomotion is done, we're going to add a weapon and then equip it. So it's going to be like a weapon equip kind of thing. So unless I've forgotten something, my notes show me that the next episode is supposed to be weapon equipping. Okay, so I'm going to leave a link to these weapons. They are free from Sketchfab, so I'll leave a link to them, then you can download them and then you can also use them, but I'm going to bring them in right now. So let's just create a new folder. We need to keep everything nice and clean. We'll call this art. Okay, and then we shall create another folder. We shall call this player. Okay, with a small L. Right, then inside the player's art folder, we shall create a folder and say weapons, because we're going to have multiple weapons. All right, then we're going to bring them in here. So let me just do that. Give me a minute. Right, I'm gonna bring these 3 in. Okay, now I shall move the 3 swords into weapons. Then I'm going to create a new folder in here so that we just keep it more structured and call it swords. Then those 3 swords can go there. Then I'm going to come here and create a new folder called materials so that we give some materials to our swords. Let me just extract my texture here. I'm going to bring this textures folder into my materials folder. Give it a minute. Perfect. And then we do have that like that, set out like that. So we've got sword 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to come to sword 1. Okay, so if you're using Unreal Engine, it also has. But we'll go to this. Then we'll create a material right here. So we'll say material. And then we're going to call it sword 1. Okay, then we're going to come here and see this is the diffuse map. So we'll put that on the base map. And then this is the diffuse silver. Okay, then this is what emissive map. We're going to go to emission here. Check that. Then we're going to drag our emissive map right there. Okay. Then this is the metallic map. So we're going to go to the metallic map right there. Give that there. Then this guy is the normal map. We're going to change him right here to normal map. Okay, and then apply. And we're going to get him and apply him to the normal map right there. That will give it more definition. As you can see, the material now has more definition. And then we've got finally this guy, which is the roughness map, which we're going to put under the smoothness right here. We're going to put it there, but we won't. We'll leave it like this. Then we'll do the same for the other one. So go to sword 2, PBR. Now let's come over to our swords. So sword 1, we're going to go to materials, and we're going to select sword 1, this guy. We're going to hit apply, and there's the sword, looking good. Then we're going to come over to sword 2, and then sword 2, apply. Nice. And then finally sword 3, I'm going to come over to sword 3, and then apply. All right. So I kind of like this one based on the character that we are using. So that's one that we're going to use, but you can use whichever you feel like. It doesn't really matter. Feel free. It's your game. Do what makes you happy. Okay, so might actually look out of place in this world. Let me see how they look with the character. You might have to look for more low poly, but for now, this will do. What we're going to do now is to, inside this player character, we're going to create what I like to call sockets from like Unreal Engine. So let's go to the armature, to the root, the hips, to the spine 02, then spine 03, then we're going to go to, in fact, should have gone to, let me see, spine 0. So we'll go to spine 01. Let's keep it on spine 01. Let's close all these, and then spine 01, let's create an empty object, which we're going to call the sheath position. All right. So you can actually attach an actual sheath to this. I'm not going to do that in this episode, but you could do it. Then we'll get our sword, this guy, attach him to the sheath, and then we will zero everything out. So 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now you can see that it's pointing right outward like that, which doesn't look good. But instead of moving the sword itself, leave the sword as 0, but get the sheath component, the sheath empty object, then drag it to wherever you want. So this is how I'm looking at it. Our character is right-handed, so the sheath will be on the left side. So we're going to drag it to this side, drag it down. Then we're gonna maybe not rotate it that way, but maybe rotate it down like that. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in a bit here so that we are right in there. Then I'm going to move it forward. Then I'm gonna zoom in again, upward like that. Okay, then it's time now for us to scale this guy. So we shall grab this guy and then scale him down. That. Then we're gonna get our sheath, bring it like that, and outward like that, then back like that. Okay. Maybe scale him down a bit more. That's better. Then it's just about fine-tuning it at this point. So you can take as much time as you like on this and make sure you get it exactly how you want it to be. That down like that. Right, so that's our empty object, and when we play, so we do have the sword, you can see it there, and when we run right there, you can see it. Nice, you can see it on the side. See it there. All right, now the next thing that we're going to do is to equip it. Okay, so let's close that sheath. Then we're going to continue on from where we left off. So spine 01, spine 02, then clavicle right, which is like the right below, above the shoulder bone. We're going to go to the shoulder right. Then we're going to go to elbow hand. All right, so now this is hand right. So we could put it right here, but remember how we did with the empty game object. We want to rotate it so the sword is looking the right way. So we cannot just rotate our hand. What we're going to do instead is create another empty object, and then we're going to say sword equipped. Okay, sword equipped, like that. Then what we're going to do is that we want to make sure that we get this right. So we're going to all right, for now let's just leave it like that, but you're going to see what we're going to do very soon. So let's come here, then come there. Yeah. Now let's put it here. All right, so we're going to come to our assets. We're going to go to our player controller, animations, which is scripts. Then where there's locomotion there, we're going to create a new folder, and then we're going to call this weapon management. So now our weapon management is the one that's in charge of equipping our weapons, different kind of weapons. We're going to have the script for that. Then we're going to have a combat script that is going to be in charge of the combat. So depending on the type of weapon that you have equipped, you have a different combat type. So if you have a sword equipped, you have melee combat type. If you have a bow equipped, for instance, you're going to have a ranged combat type. Okay, I'm going to come there. Then we're going to create a new script, and then we're going to call this weapon manager. Enter. Okay, so now time for us to do some scripting. It's not going to be complicated or difficult or anything like that. It's going to be very, very easy to follow. I think I've been trying to make these things as easy to follow as I can, but obviously some things will not be as easy as let's make it easy to follow like that. Anyway, let me just look at my notes. So let's open up our weapon manager class. And then inside this class, we're going to do a few things. Okay, we don't need the update, but we do need the start. We do need the start, but not the updates. What we're going to do now, let's get rid of this comment. We don't need that comment. We're going to say we need a public. So we're not going to go with serialized field this time. Public game object, and this will be the equipped weapon. Okay. So later we're going to have a scenario where we choose the weapon. That once that weapon is selected, is the one that will be passed into this equipped weapon variable. Then we're going to go and say public, okay, transform. So remember, the transform is the position of an object in our world. So the transform, now we're going to call that our hand transform. So remember that little object that we created in the hand for us to attach our sword to. That's the one that we're going to do, that we are creating here. Then we're going to have now our serialized field. So this is serialized field. We're going to call it animator. We want to play an animation before we actually equip our weapon. Okay, so once we have those three variables, we're going to use them like this. So we're going to come into the start here and say animator, okay, is equal to get component animator. All right, we've done this a lot of times. You guys have understood it by now. Then we're going to now create our first function. Now this function is the function to equip, to call, that we shall call to equip our weapon. We're not going to call it from this script, but we're going to call it from another script. So we'll make it public because we have to call it from another script. Public void, okay, and this will be equip weapon, like that. All right. Now what is this going to take? It's going to take a game object, like it's saying right there. It's going to take a game object, weapon to equip. Okay, So we'll be passing different game objects in here depending on what we are equipping and what weapon we've selected. So let's put a comment here. We're going to say now here is play animation or play equip animation. So this is the code that we're going to write here, and then the next code that we're going to write will be waiting for the animation to reach certain point before attaching weapon to hand. Right now, what we're going to do here is that we're going to say animator dot set. Let's use a bool. We'll see how it goes. We might change it to a trigger, and then we're going to, because in my test I use the trigger, then we're going to say the boolean value is going to be equip weapon, like that. So we're going to set the bool equip weapon. Okay, now what is it complaining about? It needs us to give it what we're setting it to, so we're going to set it to true. Okay, so we've set our bool to true. Once that bool is true, we're going to come here. Let's actually do one more thing here. Let's create private bool equip. So now here we're going to say equip is equals to true, and then we're going to set our bool to equip. That perfect. Now once we've set our animator bool as equip, the equip weapon bool as true, we're going to now create our first I enumerator. So what is an I enumerator? So an I enumerator is typically a way that we're going to make a sequence of events happen. Okay, so we're going to use an I enumerator where we can wait for a particular number of frames or seconds before doing something. All right, so let me come here and say, so this will be a private. We don't need it to be called in any other place. I enumerator. Okay, an I enumerator. We're going to say wait. We're going to call it wait for animation. Okay, wait for animation. Actually, let's call it wait for equip animation, like that. That's brilliant. Then we're going to say it's going to take in the same game object we want to equip. All right, we're going to do that. Then we're going to now put more comments here, and I'm going to say here at this point we're going to wait for the animation to reach attachment point, because we don't want to start playing the animation and the player the weapon gets attached to the hand before we actually touch the weapon with the animation. We'll say reach the attachment point. Now what we're going to say is float. So we need the equip duration. So equip duration equal to, I'm gonna say animator dot get current animator clip info. So I'm trying to get the information of the current animator clip. We're gonna open our curly brace, put 0 in there. Then we're gonna open our square brackets, not curly ones, not circle curly, but square brackets, and put another 0 in there. And then we're going to say dot clip. Sorry about that. Dot length. Okay, that's brilliant. Then we're going to now say yield return new wait per second equip duration. We've already tested this. You can test it if you're using a different animation, but if you're using mine, this works fine. 0.5f. Okay. Then once we've done that, we're going to call a function that we're going to write. We're going to call attach weapon function, and then we're going to pass in weapon to equip. Okay, now let's write that attach weapon function. We're going to say private. It doesn't return anything, so it's a void. Attach weapon. It needs weapon to equip. We're gonna do that. Okay. Now inside this function, we're going to say weapon to equip. Okay. Dot transform. Okay. Dot set parent. Right. Then we're going to set it to, remember that transform that we created up there, the hand transform. That will be the one that we'll set it to. So what we're doing is literally moving it from its current parent to the hand parent. Okay, then we're gonna say weapon to equip. Sorry about that. Weapon to equip. Okay, dot transform, and then dot local position. Okay, this will be equal to vector3.0. So we're going to 0 everything. Then we're gonna say weapon to equip dot transform dot local local dot transform dot, let me see, local rotation is what we want. Is going to be equal to quaternion dot identity. I'm going to explain this function in a bit, but for right now, yeah. Then once we're done, we're going to say, let's put another comment here, and then we're going to say set weapon to newly equipped weapon. Okay, so now we're going to say equipped weapon is equal to weapon to equip. Now remember, the equipped weapon is this game object here, so we're setting it to this game object that we've set here. Now that's it for this function. Give me a minute here. Let me just explain this function. Okay, so let me just explain the script here. So at the very top, we've got our variables, which we create. So the game object, a reference to the currently equipped weapon, a transform for the hand that we've created, a transform where we're going to attach our weapon, the animator for the animation that we're going to play, and then we've got a boolean equip for when we've equipped a weapon, so whether the character has currently equipped a weapon. Then in the start, we are assigning our animator to the animator game object, which is this guy here. Again, we're assigning it to that. And then once that is done, we go into the equip method. So the method, we are making it take a weapon to equip game object, and then we set the flag equip to true, and then after that we trigger the animator boolean to be set to true as well. Then from there we've got the enumerator, okay, our coroutine. So this coroutine will wait for the animation to reach a certain point. In this case, it calculates the duration and then waits half the duration of the animation. So that's the times 0.5. So waiting half that duration, and then we call attach weapon. So once we reach half the duration, we're going to call attach weapon. But now we're not calling this coroutine anywhere. We forgot to do that, so we're going to say start coroutine. Then we're going to say, okay, weapon to equip, like that. All right. Now, once that is done, so mainly this is called as soon as this is set, and then this guy waits half the length of our animation. So half the duration of our animation, and then calls this guy while the animation still plays. All right. So let's see here. We've got a few more things to do, mainly in the player locomotion. Okay, so in the player locomotion, we're going to come here and say serialized field again. Then we're going to say weapon manager. Then what we're going to say is, we might have to change this and create a whole new player controller script, but now we're going to say private void equip weapon. Okay, we're going to say private void equip weapon. Then what we are going to say next is, so we're going to come and say where this part here, if player controls is equals to now, we're going to say player controls dot. Now we haven't set this up, so let us set it up. So let's just leave it here because we need to set it up. Okay, let's just put it. We're going to call it equip. Okay, dot, and then we're going to say equip. Okay, equip dot, let's say equip weapon, not just equip weapon dot performed. All right, performed. Okay, plus equal. Okay, x. Now instead of it saying move input, we're going to actually say equip weapon function. So what we're telling it now is that once this equip from the player controls is called, call that function. Now when we go back to Unity, we're going to come back to scripts, and then player controls. We're going to come here to our player control. We're going to add a new action map, which we're going to call equip. Okay, then let's just delete this. We're going to add a new binding and call it equip weapon, because that's what we called it in the script. Okay, then we're going to give it a key. I'm going to use Q on the keyboard. You can use whatever you feel like. Use Q on the keyboard. We'll add another binding for in case you are using a joystick. It's usually X. So that is gamepad. What button is that? So it should be X, right? I think it's X on the gamepad. Yeah. So let's say X gamepad. Okay, I'll go with that, and then you can, but we'll use Q for now. So once that is done, close that and save. It will compile the scripts. As soon as it finishes that, we're going to come here and say equip. Okay, so equip weapon performed is equals to equip weapon. So it's going to call this particular equip weapon function down here, okay, which we haven't yet written. But what we're going to now say is our weapon manager, which we already have, dot equip weapon is what we're going to call the other function called equip weapon. It's going to ask us for a weapon to equip. Okay, it's going to ask us for a weapon to equip. So we're going to come here and create game object this time, but we'll try and find a way of making it dynamic. But for now, let's say serializable field game object sword. Then we're gonna put it right there. Then we're gonna come here and say sword, like that. Perfect. Now once that is done, we are halfway there in what we're supposed to do in today's episode. Halfway there. Let me see how much time I have left. Been moving for some time. We're going to come here. Now then, this next part, the animations, I'm going to leave them in the description again. I'm going to leave the equip animation and the sheath animation. We're not going to do the sheathing in this episode, but I'm going to leave it in the description, and then you can download it and you can use it. So let's go to our player control, then animations. So I'm going to bring in my animations here. So I haven't yet set up the sheathing animation, so I'm just going to leave the equipping animation, this animation here. We're going to give it a rig and say humanoid, fly, and into animation. You can drag in this girl, and then there we go. That's the animation right there. Okay, that's the animation right there. Now we could actually set it up so that it doesn't rotate. Let me see. Let me see if I remember this. Take into pause. I think it's the Y. I should think so. No, she's still rotating, so it's not that one. Ah, it's this one up here. Root transform rotation. Okay. What was I thinking there? We're going to apply that. We do not want it to be rotating. Then what we're going to do now is come to our animator. We're going to leave this base layer for now. And then we're going to create a new state. And then we're going to say, actually, let's not create a new state. Let's delete it. Let's just drag our animation inside. And then the animations from Mixamo. Let's call it equip weapon. But from our locomotion, we're going to make a transition to it like that. So right click, make transition. So right click, make transition, and then to drag the transition to there. Now we're going to go to our parameters here, and then we're going to create a new bool. And that bool is going to be that bool that we are setting up called equip weapon. And then equip weapon is the one that we're going to do here. So it will not have an exit time. So what an exit time is, it means the current animation that's playing should finish playing before you move to this animation. But in the case of when we hit our equip button, we just want to play the animation immediately. And then what is going to be the parameter is going to be that equip weapon is set to true. Okay. Then we're going to have a transition back, and this one is going to also not have an exit time. It's going to be equip weapon is set to false. That's it. That's all you have to do there. So we have set that up, and we have our animation set to humanoid, and it's playing. So now when we hit play, if we've done everything correctly, we should have our player equipping, but our player isn't equipping. Why? Because we haven't set up the variables. So let's come over to the player here. No, to this guy here. Actually, this very guy here, we need to add the weapon manager. We didn't add it yet. And then it's going to request us to set up some things. The sword equipped, we're going to put that as the hand transform. Then the animator will be set on its own. The equipped weapon will be set on its own. But on the player, under weapon manager, we need to set that up. So we'll go back to, we'll have to move this into a new script, probably in the next episode, so that we do not have a lot of things in our locomotion. Locomotion should only handle locomotion. But for now, what we're going to say is weapon manager is equals to get component in children weapon manager, like that. Then once that is done, come back here. We need the sword game object. We're going to get our sword here, slap it there. All this should be in a different script. So now when we hit equip, she equips it, and then there it is, it's on her hand. But as you can see, we didn't set it up nicely. So now we pause the game there so that we actually set it up right. We're going to go to the sword equipped. Make sure that you are in game mode. You are not doing this without, it should be, the game should be playing. So you just paused it. I'm gonna rotate that so that it's in the right kind of way. We're gonna bring it out like that. Bring it forward like that. Then we're gonna bring it down. We're gonna bring it forward. I'm gonna move in a bit. Let me see. Yeah. Let me just reduce the speed at which we are scrolling. Maybe a bit more. Okay. I'm gonna bring it inward. Bring it there. Inward again. Okay. Okay. Now bring it upward. Inward. Outward. Somewhere there. And then right there. Okay, that looks good. Then we're going to now copy the component. Remember, copy the whole component, not anything else. Then once we have closed the game, we're going to come here and paste component values to our sword equipped object, not our sword or our sheath, but our sword equipped empty object. Now when we play again, and then when we hit Q, she'll play the animation and she'll equip the weapon. But then she's stuck in this particular animation. So in the next one, we're going to set up a combat mode. So what we're going to do in the next episode is going to have a new blend space, a new blend tree. Let me even create it right now, that we're going to call combat mode. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, comment, subscribe here on YouTube channel, and if it helped you in any way or form, let me know. Share the video. It will help the channel out massively, and I appreciate all the support that you guys have been showing again. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, happy creation. I'll see you all in the next one.